Peace. So, I've been taking my time before I chose to kind of publicly speak about my observations and just my feelings about what's going on right now. Just because I wanted to be responsible and really assess the validity of the things I was feeling. It's always good to like look, observe, respect what's happening around you before you come to a consensus and an understanding of what is. Um, so, you know, we have to understand that we've been kind of, in many ways, so self-centered and focused on, the things and negative aspects of ego perpetuates, um, that many of us in Western humanity have forgotten that, we are nature, right? We are an aspect of the whole. Action and reaction is how the universe operates, is how nature operates, cause and effect. Um, so, with that in mind, often when a symptom shows up, we freak out, we want to address the symptom. We get a headache, we want to take aspirin. We don't feel good or we feel tired, for some people to take a sleeping pill or something of that nature. Um, Yet, this practice, in many ways, it doesn't get to the root of things, right? So as we're in this moment and we're observing everything that's happening, you know, this is the time to really reflect on the why this is happening. Why are people so afraid? Um, why are people so uninformed? Why are people frantic? And then why is it that, those who are supposedly educating us are perpetuating fear? You know, the fear doesn't help anything. And the reality is that, nature takes its course, it does what it does, right? So we're not gonna beat nature. It's not possible. What we can do though is have a better understanding of how our bodies work, how our immune systems work, and understanding how the way we've lived in the circumstance this society has created makes certain individuals more susceptible to these things. Um, in the Western world especially, being unhealthy and living in disease as a normal is business as usual. The average American is taking all types of medicine daily, has many health issues, and because so many other people are suffering the same things, this has become an acceptable way to exist and live. And there's a problem to that. There's a problem when certain individuals talk about eating organic and holistic food and being healthy and exercising, eating an alkaline diet, that people will even scoff and laugh and make fun of that. If we really think about that, um, you know, in a whole, society has embraced being unhealthy. Society has embraced simple personal, pleasures and cravings over the bigger picture of how, in the long run, the things we do will impact us. And now we're seeing all of that come to a head. The people who are most susceptible are the people who've been previously unhealthy and previously sick. In many other countries, it's the elderly, because generally the elderly have a weaker immune system and their bodies are more at risk. But in the Western world, we're starting to see young people being just as impacted because people in this side of the world are sick. This is a fast food reality. Um, we eat a lot of sugar. We eat a lot of things that aren't good for us. We eat very imbalanced diets in the most part. And because of that, sickness impacts people more, right? It's not a mystery. So, if anything, instead of worrying about toilet paper and all these other things, right, it's time to really re-educate ourselves. We have time. You have the internet. Think about all these things that people have said over the years regarding food, and start researching it and learning to re-educate yourself and shift how we relate to consuming. That goes for spending money as well, right? because in this time, we're really reassessing how much money we've spent on sneakers and clothes and frivolous things that deal with attracting social and external validation. But when it comes time to being able to eat, we can't eat those things, right? So this is a really good time to assess in many ways how we've lived, what our priorities are, how we're functioning as beings on this planet, and how we are, being a piece of the whole, right? Because we're a piece of the whole. If you put a rotten apple amongst apples that are fresh and healthy, they will rot faster. If a piece of the body is in disease or sick, often it is amputated, because it's understood that something that is dying causes the things around it to die quicker. So, if one of us is unhealthy and sick, we are a threat to our family and our community, to our children, to the people that we love in many ways. Not just because they're getting sick. We can financially tap them. We can stress them. We can suck their happiness and their energy, right? So the better each one of us is, the better everyone around us is. Each piece of the circle is equally important. And if we don't acknowledge that, and we continue to live these selfish ways, when these things arise, because they will continue to arise, there will just be more panic. There will just be more fear. And it's warranted, because the average person is in jeopardy. The average person has lived in a way that you are susceptible to these things. Most people get sick often. They don't question it, because being sick often is the normal. Yet, there's a lot of us, including myself, who never get sick, right? And I'm not saying it's because I'm special. I know it has to do with my lifestyle. I know it has to do with my mind state. I know it has to do with the information I've provided for myself over the last 3 decades, right? So understanding that there's no mystery to this, and we've been living, we've been spoon-fed. We've been allowing others to drive the vehicle, right? So it's time that we take control, each and individually. And if we do this, this will create a different wave and shift in consciousness, where these things won't be able to take a grasp as strongly, and that's just dealing with the physical, mental, and social impacts, right? So, let's start to be more responsible. We understand the negative side, the negative polarity. That's why they're talking about the social distancing, because we're understanding that we can negatively impact one another, that we need to be responsible and accountable to one another, but not only to prevent crisis. We can be accountable and responsible to one another in a way that promotes wellness, that promotes being healthy, that promotes feeding the energy of love, and just bringing our humanity to a higher state of consciousness, right? So much more can happen. If we alleviate greed and we alleviate selfishness, there can be much more abundance. We can all flourish much more. It's really not that difficult, right? But we just have to start thinking differently, right? Simply things like, whoever has a yard, whoever has a space, if you're part of a community, allow that to be the garden for your group, right? You can plant herbs, you can plant greens. There's a lot of things, and that will help a lot of people who are in financial hardships, and also give us access to these things. We can buy food in bulk. We can create carpools. There's a lot of different things. I know a lot of people in my community are providing meditation practices for people virtually. There's all types of guidance and teaching and stuff going on, right? The same way we had 100,000 people be part of a virtual party, that shows us how we can connect so quickly if we are focused on something. But let's make it more than just fun, right? Let's figure out how we can collectively use our voices and use our intellect to shift the consciousness of humanity and shift the reality of humanity. That's what we're being called to do right now. I have a lot more to say about this. I'll continue sharing in the future, expanding on different aspects of things I'm observing. But for right now, it's time to re-educate. It's time to reassess and transform the way we've been living. If your health is in question, the information is out there. It's just really in taking action and doing. All right, peace.